of you, and I actually have presents for you. I don't think I can give you yours, but maybe you can get it. I host a show called ReW, and I want to give you a T-shirt, and if you want to give one to RoMaN one day, that would be amazing. RoMaN PoLaNSki, you're just an idol to everyone, and I just have, if you found a genie in a bottle, what would your 3 wishes be?
What my wish? One of how many wishes?
3.
3 wishes, that's a lot. Well, I don't know if that genie could do miracles. I would see JaCkie winning another race again.
Okay.
I would like myself to do a good movie. And I wish for my son to get out of that stupid teenage period.
Okay. And JaCkie, did you ever have an experience with a car, telepathic, the car spoke to you? Because I actually had that happen to me, and I never thought it could, but I wonder, did you ever have a personal relationship
with
a vehicle, with a car?
Well, the car is an animal to me. It's a very human animal sometimes. You communicate with a racing car at the highest level. A Formula One car is a highly strung unit that is like, for me, a person. The relationship I had with my car was a very close one. And in those days, there was no telemetry. Nowadays there's 200 sensors in a car to tell the engineers where and what's happening. In those days, it was down to the driver. And many of the shots in RoMaN's film, you see me communicating with my chief mechanic, trying to explain to him what was happening, and it was suddenly dropping off in performance. So that communication system is almost man and machine being 2 animals together. And I've always described, to get the very best out of a racing car, you've got to caress it, you've got to touch it gently, you don't give it surprises, you don't get brutal with it, you coax it into doing things. And all of those things are really true, because you don't suddenly jump on the brakes, you caress the brake pedal to get the best out of it. And you don't have to jerk the steering wheel, you introduce it gently, and therefore the car's not surprised. All of these things are part of making the great drivers, whether it was the great Fangio, the great Jim Clark, the great Vettel of today, for example, or the American drivers like Parnelli Jones and A.J. Foyt and Mario Andretti and Dan Gurney and people like that. They were all doing that. So that relationship that you relate to is very close to being the unity of human.
Would you say it's similar to any sport, even baseball, for instance, in particular, where the older baseball players talk about how the bats are so high tech now and the balls are going so much farther? So that it was much harder back then to hit a home run than it is today.
I actually don't think so. I think the technology has changed, like in motor racing, the Star Wars technology that you see. But I think the animal remains the same. I think the driver's the same type of person. I think that Babe Ruth wouldn't be any different than the greatest baseball player of today, and I don't think that Sebastian Vettel, who's just won his 4th World Championship, was any different, any better than Juan Manuel Fangio, who won 5 World Championships, and he didn't even start driving in Europe until he was 39 years of age. The animal is the same, but the technology changes. But you still have to have that human relationship in my mind, and the current driver may not have it at his young years. It was when I turned 30, and I retired when I was 34, but by then I had matured, and I was feeling and touching and experiencing more than just having to drive fast. So I think whether you're whether you're a filmmaker or whether you're a racing driver or a baseball or basketball player, somehow or other it changes as you gain experience. From experience you get knowledge. From knowledge and experience you sometimes get wisdom. Sometimes you even mature. So I think all these are part and parcel.
Another question over here.
Mr. PoLaNSki, it is an honor to meet you personally. I am quite a fan of your work. As a young director who is up and coming, such as myself, what advice could you give someone of today?
And her last name is Stewart.
And ironically, my last name happens to be Stewart.
Question of patience and perseverance. That's all I can tell you. You can't teach talent, but you can tell someone how to sustain the adversity, which is our enemy constantly on the set. Whatever you do, whatever type of film you make, it requires a crew, requires financement, requires a lot of people around you. And those people, even they are all with you, even they are all friendly, and even if they all agree that the final result is the only thing that counts, they have each of them and their personal agenda. They see certain things different that you do, and they think that certain things can be done different way, maybe better in their opinion. And then they have their personal problems. They have families and children and the girlfriends, and they're horny or whatever. So what you really need is to be patient and to be able to withstand all those problems daily.
RoMaN, since you haven't really made any other documentaries, I mean, what is your relationship to this medium, given how satisfied you were with the project? I mean, did you ever want to make more documentaries?
Well, yes, I did. I never considered myself talented in this direction. I didn't consider myself a director of documentaries, particularly in that period. Documentaries were not as frequently successful as they are now. There are many more of them done because of the television in the first place. You see many more documentaries in the theaters. In those times, it was very, very seldom that you could hope to have any kind of success with a documentary in general theatrical release. So in those times when I decided to make this film, I asked my friend Frank Simon to direct it. Frank was a young American director from New York, whom I met in Cannes during the film festival. He was showing a documentary called The Queen. It was about the first drag queen contest in New York. And it was a very good documentary, funny and unusual and quite daring. Unfortunately, it was famous May 1968, where there was a kind of revolution in France, students' revolution, and the festival was aborted. So Frank never got the prize. But I got a friend with this festival, and we brought him, because we're a bunch of friends, in fact, to London. He was living with us, and I decided to make this film. I said, I'll produce it, you direct. And the first Weekend of the Champion was done by Frank Simon. I worked a lot on it. I filmed. I often had camera in hand. I helped with the editing, etc. But he did the first version of this movie.
Here, the director of Capote, my friend Bennett Miller. He directed Capote and Moneyball.
And congratulations, I love Capote.
No, one of the very first question that was asked.
So directors are friends with each other.
Well, that's good. My question drivers. But the first question that was asked by this lady down here in the front row, the three wishes. One of our three wishes is that RoMaN could be here today.
Me too. That was the wish I was thinking. Yes, I agree.
Together,
And I think we're not the only people that feel that way.